Coach Brianna here, and welcome to my first official weight loss update video for you guys. Today I'm going to share with you the results of the first 2 weeks on my fat loss phase, as I call it, weight loss mode, whatever it is you want to call it, it's all the same. Calorie deficit to result in a loss of fat and weight on the scale. So I wanted to share with you a little bit about what I've done so far in the last 2 weeks, what's worked, what hasn't, things that have helped me, tips I've learned along the way, and of course my results thus far. So let's get into it. First, you're probably wondering, what plan am I following on the Healthi app? I am using the Calorie Command plan with the pro feature of secondary metric turned on to macros because I am actually tracking macros for this fat loss phase. I am working with my own personal one-on-one nutrition coach, and so she is actually the one dictating all of my numbers for me. The only job I have is to plug them into the app and use them. So that being said, my calories and macros for the first 2 weeks have been as follows. 1851 for my calories. Yes, I know that sounds like a lot. Can you really lose weight? Can you really lose fat on 1850 calories? Believe it or not, you can. A lot of personalized information goes into customized macro counts. So for me and my coach, she took a lot of things she knows about me into consideration when coming up with the calorie deficit. What we know about me is my maintenance calories, meaning the calories that I require to not lose weight but not gain weight either, is roughly 2200 calories, give or take a little bit. So for me, 1850 is still a deficit from the 2200 calories that is my maintenance calories. So as long as I'm eating in a deficit, over time results will come. That is how a calorie deficit works. I'll be the first to admit that I have never, in my over a decade of dieting, started a diet with 1850 calories. I think the most I've ever personally started on a diet is 1600 to 1700 calories. And that was this time last year when I went into fat loss mode and it epically failed on me. In the past, I have started diet mode, weight loss mode on as little as 1200, 1300, 1400 calories. Even though I knew that this diet was going to have me starting with the highest calories I've ever done for weight loss mode, it was still kind of a shock to me to be like, oh, 1851? Really? That's bonkers, but it feels really good because I don't have to feel like I'm restricting myself while I'm in this phase of fat loss, which is awesome. So 1851 were my calories, and my macro breakdown was as follows. 140 grams of protein. Yes, that is every single day. 154 carbs and 75 grams of fat. That is the macro breakdown that my coach came up with for me. Now, pro Healthi app tip. When you use the macro feature in Healthi, it actually only lets you divide up your macros in 5% increments. When I have a specific macro number that I need to get to, sometimes the app doesn't actually let me get it and set it to those specific numbers. So what I do is I try to get the protein goal as close as possible to my desired goal at first, and then I will move the other sliders to get as close to what my macros are supposed to be as possible, and then I just have to know in my mind what the difference is between what the app says my limit is and what my actual macros are. For example, I have Healthi set at 1851 for calories, but the macro division based on what the app allows me to do is 138.8 grams of protein. So almost that 140. 162 carbohydrates and 72 fat instead of 75. So it's so close to the division that I'm supposed to be doing, but not perfect. So if you're using the Healthi app to track macros and you got macro counts from a coach or you want to set your own, kind of know that if you have very specific numbers, you can only get close to them and not the exact specific number. That's okay. As long as you know what your macros are supposed to be, you can still do it just fine. So what were some of the observations in my first 2 weeks on my new diet? Well, first, week 1, my energy was through the roof. Now, I know that some of this probably had to do with the fact that this was brand new and exciting. After 8 months of not dieting, I was finally back on the dieting train, and that's exciting to me because I want to see results. results, right? So I was excited and I was energized by that excitement. So I don't know how much of it was the fact that my macro balance changed or how much of it was just sheer newness of weight loss mode. Either way, my energy was through the roof for the whole first week. Now the second week, my energy kind of normalized a little bit, but I was still running and going and doing the things, not literally running. I don't run, I do the elliptical machine. But you know what I mean? I was still going and still had more energy than I had felt in the past. So thankfully the newness of this has not worn off just yet. And it's okay if it does, because discipline is much more important than motivation or excitement over your diet, right? You need to be disciplined if you want to see results. So discipline is where I am focused, but for now, the newness helps me to kind of keep going at the beginning stages here. Other things that could have contributed to my increase in energy is, in fact, my macro balance. My macros had been a little bit wonky in the month of January because, quite honestly, even though I was in maintenance mode and I was tracking-ish, I probably tracked a couple days a week, I was not tracking nearly as diligently as I was in October, November, and even December leading up to Christmas. So I know that my protein intake and my macro balance had changed. And getting back into the proper balance for my body could have played a really great part in me feeling energized. Instead of feeling bogged down by not having enough protein or having an imbalance in my system that my body didn't need, I instead fixed that by upping the protein and balancing the macros to what works well for my body. And the result could have been the increase in energy. The other thing that could have increased my energy is actually the activity that I have been doing. For the first time in a long time, I got 10,000 steps every single day. And some days more than 10,000 steps. And I haven't done that in a really long time consistently. So that felt really good. And believe it or not, even though activity uses up energy, the more regular you can get with movement, and this is why it's such an important thing to integrate into a daily habit, movement, activity of some kind, is because it actually makes you feel better and more energized in the long run. So those are a couple of other things that could have added to the increased energy that I was experiencing those first weeks. Another observation was, especially in week 1, I was not hungry at all. And protein will do that to you. As we actually recently discussed in our healthy meetings, protein is one of the macronutrients and one of the elements of your plate that can help you feel fuller and satisfied with your food for longer. And increasing my protein back up to 140, oh my goodness, did I feel full. I had no problem sticking to my calorie deficit because the protein filled me up and actually made it kind of difficult at the end of the day to kind of sneak in, especially in the right macros, the calories that I needed, because I just didn't want to eat, because I kept front loading that protein and had big amounts of protein throughout the day. I was always feeling full and satisfied. What was I doing for fitness? Well, for starters, 10,000 steps a day. Now, in the dreary, cold Minnesota winter, I get most of those steps. I get all of those steps in the house because I hardly go places unless I'm going grocery shopping. But I get a majority of my steps from the elliptical machine I have downstairs. I don't necessarily do like a crazy cardio workout or anything. I just pop on some Netflix and I stroll for about a half an hour every day, and that will get me about 4,000 steps, which I know is not even half of 10,000, but I also do things around the house that earn me steps as well. But in order to obtain at least some of my steps, I do have to get on the elliptical, otherwise I just won't hit 10,000 in a day just being in my house, unless it's like crazy cleaning day, but that doesn't happen more than once every week or two. But more importantly, my official workouts, because I don't count the ellipticals like an official workout for me, it is me getting my steps. But my official workout is weightlifting, and I am doing a combination of 2 Beachbody programs, so 645 and Lift 4. For those of you that have been following me for any amount of time, you know that Lift 4 is my jam. It is my baby and I love it. I took a brief hiatus from it to do, and by brief, I mean, I don't think I've done Lift 4 legitimately since November, but I'm back in action with Lift 4 now. But in that meantime, I tried the new program 645, and there's a lot of the elements of it that I really enjoy, and some of it is great for my body. But with my physical disability, for those of you that don't know, I have a disease called CMT, Charcot-Marie-Tooth disease. It is a nerve disease that affects my muscles. Because of this, there are many moves in this other plan that I can't execute properly, so I felt like I wasn't getting enough of a workout. So I decided to create a hybrid and go back to my Lift 4 program, but take components of the 645 program and use what I like from it. So the result is 4 days a week of weightlifting, just like on the regular Lift 4 plan, but I changed it around a little bit to work better for me and my tendencies. The normal Lift 4 program has you lifting different sections of your body in different days. Mondays are usually chest and tricep day, Tuesdays are back and bicep day, Wednesday's rest day, Thursday is shoulder day, my personal favorite, and Friday is leg day or total body HIIT, high intensity interval training, and then Saturday and Sunday you have off. I was very good at making excuses for not doing leg day on Fridays. It's Friday, I could do other things, I don't really wanna, so my legs always got the bummer end of the deal, so to speak. But in 645, their leg day was on Mondays. And I actually really enjoyed starting my week with leg day because it got it over with for me. So I was like, what if I take this thing and kind of switch it up a little bit? So what I have been doing is Mondays, 645 leg day, because I like the 645 leg day better than I like the Lift 4 leg day. Tuesday is chest and triceps day on Lift 4. Wednesday is still rest day. Thursday is back and bicep day, and Friday, the day that I really like to make excuses for not working out, I put my shoulder workout because shoulders is my favorite workout. And that prevents me from skipping my Friday workout, and it has worked so well so far. So weight training 4 days a week, at least 10,000 steps a day has been my fitness and activity routine. My meals, the way I have been structuring my meals is of course what I tell everybody to do, and that is every meal and most snacks come with a protein focus. When I get up in the morning, I think about what is my protein source for this meal? What is my protein source for lunch? What is my protein source for dinner? And I will even go as far as to pre-track the protein sources specifically because I need to make sure I'm hitting my 140 grams. What has this looked like? For me, it often comes in the form of Fairlife nutrition shakes in the morning, healthy eating on the go bars, either in addition to the Fairlife shake or as a snack, or eggs combined with egg whites. For lunch, I tend to have things like turkey sandwiches with 4 ounces of turkey on it, or lately I have been loving tuna salad that I will either put in some sort of wrap or I use bell peppers to keep the carb count lower because I want to save some carbohydrates for later in the day. That tuna salad, I do use full fat avocado-based mayonnaise by Primal Kitchen. I don't do any of the low-fat mayos anymore. It is full-fat mayonnaise for me only. Because even though I'm on a diet, I do not have to diet down everything that I eat. And that is a nutritional philosophy that I'm standing by in this diet. My goal is to prove to you that this can be done without having to go low fat, fat-free, sugar-free, all of those things. I want to prove to you that you can do this by eating real food. And one of the ways I do that is by banishing low-fat mayo or fat-free mayo. I can't believe I ate fat-free mayo. And like, no offense to you if you eat that, but it's like the cheese. I should have taken stock out in the Kraft fat-free shredded cheddar cheese. I ate that stuff all the time and I convinced myself it was delicious. Newsflash, it's not nearly as good as regular full-fat cheese. So now I have banished the fat-free cheese from my life and I make room within my macros for the full-fat cheese, for the full-fat mayo, for the full sugar baked goods, things like that. And it's treating me very, very well. In the description box down below, I'm going to share with you the meatloaf recipe that I made for week 1. It is a tried and true recipe that I have made time and time and time again by the blogger, the Skinnyish dish. It is called The Best Meatloaf, and it really is the best meatloaf. And for our family of 2, it's just my husband and I, it literally feeds us 4 or 5 days of the week. Both of us. So I will make that meatloaf, some roasted potatoes. I personally love the Little Potato Company potatoes, and a steamed vegetable, and we have meals all week long, and it's lean, and it's protein packed, and it is hearty and delicious, and I love it. The link to that recipe will be in the description box for you. So that is what I did and kind of my approach for the first 2 weeks. So now, of course, I'm sure you're wondering, what are my results? Drum roll, please. In my first 2 weeks, I lost a whopping 0.4 pounds. Yes, not even half a pound in 2 weeks. Normally, people would be infuriated by this. And I'll admit, for a hot second, I was infuriated by this. But here is what I know. That first, it takes the body a handful of weeks to adjust. Unless you're dramatically cutting calories, where you get the result of, oh look, I lost 2, 3, 5 pounds my first week on a diet. It doesn't necessarily work that way if you are eating in a moderate calorie deficit instead of an extreme calorie deficit. So for me and my body, I anticipate that this is going to be the low and slow race, and that's okay. One thing worth noting, and probably the notable struggle of my first 2 weeks, are weight fluctuates. And my weight has been fluctuating like a crazy person. We're talking up 1.5 pounds, down a pound, down a little bit more, up 0.5 pound. Like, there have been some pretty crazy spikes. Actually, at my lowest weight for the first 2 weeks, I lost 0.9. But technically, by my week 2 final day weigh-in, I was only at 0.4 because my weight had spiked back up, which is fine. It is what it is. So weight fluctuations are completely normal. They can be caused by a multitude of things, and it is one of the reasons that I personally weigh in every single day, because that takes the power away from the scale for me, because I can literally watch the fluctuations happen. And as long as ultimately over time, a period of time that I haven't even been in my fat loss phase yet, we're talking 5 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, as long as that trend is going down, then something is going right. But the day-to-day weight fluctuations aren't always what they seem, because anything can cause a weight fluctuation, right? Alcohol, stress at work, not enough sleep, more carbohydrates than normal, something sends you into digestive distress, PMS. All of these things can cause a spike on the scale, and that's okay. The more important result, I have another result for you, because while my weight only went down 0.4 pounds, I lost 3.3 inches off of my body. That is a metric worth celebrating, because what that shows you is the scale is not the whole story. I literally lost over 3 inches off of my body in 2 weeks. That is a big deal, a significant loss. I even submitted new pictures to my coach, and she said she definitely noticed a de-bloating happening in my stomach that was there the first week, but wasn't there by the end of the second. Progress is being made even if it is not being shown on the scale, and that is something that I think is very, very important to acknowledge. So, 2 weeks in the books, I'm down 0.4 pounds and 3.3 inches total. Worth noting, 1.7 of those inches was off of my waist alone. Like, definitely something to celebrate, am I right? Those are my results. That's my update. I hope you'll stay tuned for these updates as they continue to roll in every couple of weeks. I cannot wait to continue to share this journey with you guys. If you're interested in following the day-to-day, head over to my YouTube channel, Diva in the Divine. Follow me on Instagram at Diva in the Divine, and you will see all the day-to-day there. But don't worry, I'm keeping Healthi up to date with all of my successes, my struggles, and results along the way. Thank you guys for taking the time to watch, and I will see you again real soon. Bye!